I would bring out some weird, unconventional funeral traditions from across the world. Kind of a weird story, but it's something that it's all going to happen to us, right?
Exactly. Death is just supersedes our this life.
All right. How about this one? Famadihana. Okay, the Famadihana, or turning of the bones ceremony of the Malgalese people in Madagascar, isn't a funeral per se. However, it involves the dead bodies of your loved ones. So we're starting this list off with it. Every few years, the Malagasy exhume what remains of the corpses of their ancestors and relatives. They wrap the remains in clean cloth and rewrite their names on the bundle. Then it's time to lift the corpse up and dance to ruckus music while parading the body around its tomb. When the ceremony ends, the corpse is reburied to wait for the next Famadihana.
Right.
The ceremony isn't intended to desecrate the body. Instead, it celebrates the life of the deceased. Ugh, Enoch and Elijah. Thank you. My sister says too hard to think about. It is. But, you know, the older I get, the more I notice things like, I don't necessarily want people digging me up and you know, rewrapping my bones. I don't want that.
No.
You know, hit it and forget it, that type of thing. Have a great big party and then, you know, because I'm not there.
Right.
Me, I'm actually somewhere else.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just the leftovers of my body that's here.
Right.
Okay. But this one, I mean, kind of weird. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Our soul has left the building by then.
Right. So how about this one? Hanging coffins. After a person is laid to rest in their coffin, the box then usually goes into the ground or somewhere else out of sight. Not so in parts of Indonesia, the Philippines, and China. Instead, the people of the regions will hang the coffins on steep cliffs or hill faces, and there the coffins will remain in plain sight. There's a couple of reasons for the cliffside graveyards. The first reason is to simply keep corpses out of reach of both animals and potential grave robbers. And on the other hand, the practice is usually reserved for the most distinguished and respected members of the community. It's a way to commemorate the dead. If their coffin is hanging from the cliff, they were kind of a big deal. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not down with that.
Kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you believe in freedom after death?
Freedom after death?
Yeah.
I think once we're done, it's up freedom and everything's done.
Okay, well, I don't know. You know, I'm kind of like, I'm one of them people, as long as you're not harming other people.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it right now.
As long as you're not using my body to harm someone after I'm dead and gone. Yeah.
Well, in New York, we still have people sitting in refrigerated semi-trailers right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
But yet the media will never talk about it.
Yeah, it's weird.
They want to keep it on the back burner.
Smoked mummies. Okay, I'm on the smoking kick, right? You know,
Yeah.
out cooking food. But this one's a little bit. The Anga people of Papua New Guinea mummify their dead. You might be thinking of the famous Egyptian mummies, but that's not quite what this is about. When a person dies, the Anga will place a corpse in a contraption that resembles something between a chair and a cage. Then they take the whole thing into a hut where the body is smoked for 30 days. Yes, smoke, like you'd smoke salmon, cold smoke. At the end of the process, the corpse is bone dry and highly resistant to decomposition. The Anga then hang the cage with the body in it from a high cliff, much like the hanging coffins. And just like with them, the hanging of the mummy is a sign of respect and reverence toward the departed. The ritual is rarely practiced today, but many mummies from days gone by still hang in Anga villages. Yeah, that's kind of gross.
That's creepy.
Yeah, my mom said gross. And, well, it's creepy. And think about this. They never get buried. They just smoke them.
Yeah.
How would you like that smell?
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's not like you're smoking bacon.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, but
I don't know.
to each their own,
Morbid.
different strokes for different folks.
Sounds morbid to me.
Sky burial. In some parts of Tibet and Mongolia, we find the tradition of sky burials. No, they don't load their dead into rockets or catapults and fling them into the sky. Instead, the remains of the dead are taken apart. Literally, the corpse is chopped up. Then the parts of body are taken to a tall, barren mountaintop and left there. Vultures and other animals will come to pick the bones clean, naturally disposing of the body. The Buddhist traditions of these teach that the person's spirit leaves the body immediately at the moment of death. What's left behind is nothing but an empty vessel made of dead meat.
Wow.
I don't know. What do you think? Kind of gives you a new meaning to like that majestic eagle going, caw, you know?
Yeah. Just cut above the rest.
I'm hoping that those eagles that we get the videos of, I hope they're not from Mongolia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Literally, it's a cut above the rest.
Genghis Khan, 1/5 of the Earth's population is related to Genghis Khan.
Wow.
Think about that. The Mongolia. Fantasy coffins. The Ghanaian funeral ceremony doesn't really differ from any other Christian funeral. It's the coffin that's strange. It's become a recent tradition in Ghana to bury the dead in an elaborate coffin that represents their lives. A fisherman might get buried in a fish or boat-shaped coffin, while a rich businessman might get to take a trip 6 feet under in a lookalike of the latest BMW model. What do you think?
Wow. I don't know, man.
Do you want to be buried in a Buick?
Not really.
Well, we've had really rich people here
No.
that have been buried in Corvettes. And
I've heard
been
of
buried in the Lamborghinis of the world.
We'll bury you in concrete up here until the windows pop out.
Yeah, skull burial. It's always nice to have a memento of a loved one who's passed on. The residents of the island nation of Kiribati take the idea one step further. Once a person has died, their relatives will lay out their body in their home. The body lies in a state for up to 12 days, depending on how important the person is. After the display period is over, the body is buried. Nothing too weird here so far. Now, I got to ask you this. How did you decide how important somebody is?
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay, so you got 12 days for super important people.
So we got someone.
How would you decide who's important and who's not?
You don't.
I just find that creepy.
It is creepy.
That you would have to make a distinction of how long a person's rotting in your home based on how important they were.
Yeah.
So does that mean like a young child wouldn't get 12 days because they weren't important to the village? But, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. You're just saying.
The guilt trips. Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. It's a little weird.
It is. A lot of these stories right now you're reading are very weird.
They are. It says that after the display period is over, the body is buried. After a few months, though, the relatives of the deceased will return to the grave. They dig up the body, decapitate it, and take the skull home. The skull receives a thorough cleaning and polishing before going in its final resting place. And yes, that is on display in the relative's home. Nope.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I'm flat out saying, no discussion. There's not going to be anybody's skull that I love in my home.
No. Sometimes we have to, I don't know, sometimes we have to look at what's morbidly stupid and then just say it's morbidly stupid.
Well, let's go to the closest thing that we have. Cremation.
Oh, there we
go. Okay, so if you're involved in cremation, do you put the vase in your house? Because that's almost like a skull. It's just,
I got a box with the wife's ashes.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like she's with us every day.
Do you feel about that way?
Yeah.
So do you think it's that way with the skulls?
No.
You don't feel that way?
I don't have that same connection. I'm sorry.
Is it because of our tradition and culture?
I think.
Because it's the same thing, right?
It pretty much.
Like, okay, so here's the thing. I don't know whether I want to be buried or whether I want to be cremated.
Right.
I'm claustrophobic.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm claustrophobic.
You might be like that old toy box then. When you're dead and gone, you'll see that toy box jumping around going, "Get me out of here."
Yeah.
Get me.
Well, I've got in the 1800s, many, 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 many people were actually buried alive.
Right.
Because of medicines and things that they were trying. And I always thought the worst thing in my mind that I can imagine myself is waking up in a cold box and not being able to get out and slowly dying from a lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
Drowning doesn't scare me at all. But I don't know, for some reason, claustrophobic, yeah, it is what it is.
Right.
But, So what else you got, brother?
Oh, I've got American Pie Bowl. Remember that movie?
It's just a squirrel.
You remember that movie? American Pie Bowl?
Well, not the piebald. I'd love to be able to go.
Oh, American Pie.
Deer piebald hunting.
All right. Rare piebald squirrel spotted in Colorado tree. Wildlife officials in Colorado shared photos of a rare piebald squirrel spotted in a tree near Denver.
Weird.
Yeah. Colorado Parks and Wildlife Northeast Region said in a Twitter post that Jerry Baines spotted the unusually collared squirrel west of Denver and snapped photos.
Ooh.
The piebald squirrel was normal brown and gray fur on its tail and underside, but white fur on its head and back. That is a genetic mutation causing varying amounts of white hair. Man, that could be considered racist nowadays. Some can be almost pure white, while others carry just patches of white, the department tweeted. Your thoughts, Mr. Han?
Well, piebald actually is a genetic. Now, it used to be genetic defect. However, I don't think we can use the word defect anymore.
Yeah.
What is it? Genetic individualism?
Soy boy.
Well,
defect. Anyway.
There are piebald humans.
Yes.
There are piebald deer. There are piebald squirrel. In certain species, it's a lot more rare, but there's piebald everything.
Yeah.
Right?
There is.
Well, do you believe in Nostradamus?
I do. I actually do.
Okay. Have you read about what he says about 2021?
I have, but it's been a minute.
And was it scary to you or no?
It's a little disturbing knowing what's coming.
Hello, Gilbert. Well,
he's on to something, I'll say that.
According to Nostradamus, the sequel to 2020, there are claims that the astrologer predicted the lockdown that we faced and its consequences. That's right. Nostradamus Insight says that we are in store for a bumpy ride in 2021. I don't want the pathetic prophet. I think everybody knows him. However, like this story says, a lot of what's going on is somebody reading into a prophecy that he made. I mean, he talks about fire. He talks about a repeat. He talks about, there's a perfect representation.
He talks about ice falling out of the sky.
Well, I don't think he addressed the ice falling out of the sky.
I just was wondering.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little weird.
Remember.
What the heck is that? You see that? This advertisement pop up?
I know.
Advertisements. What's going on here? Okay, do I pull this?
They do the same thing to me.
Well, they do. And,
it's frustrating.
Sleep Number. I don't do Sleep Number.
No.
I do My Pillow.
We do My Pillow.
Yeah. And when I do My Pillow, I use the promo code Crankers for up to 66% off.
Right.
But, anyways, he's saying that's going to be a terrible year. 2021 would be the ultimate year of destruction. It has nothing to do with the lockdown of the economy. Actually, it's more like something out of a horror film. Now, what's weird about this, did you hear about the Congo?
No.
There's a volcano going off in the Congo right now.
Right.
And they're literally saying that it could wipe out the whole country.
Oh.
Think about that for a second. I mean, is that what Nostradamus saw?
I'm not sure.
You know what I mean? Though the year of destruction. Nostradamus, some people love him, some people hate him. They said that,
some people don't read him.
They say he's a medicine man. It's a bunch hoobly poobly, if you ask me. But there are people out there that believe